Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the London's Pretty Cool podcast. We are very excited to be back for episode 3 with our lovely guest, Jenn Marino of Jenn Marino and the Heart. Newly named after Hiroshima Hearts. I'm Erin.
I'm Patrick Briggs, and of Briggs fame, we are just so happy to be back again for another great episode. Jenn Marino is an incredible talent in the city, has been for years, and is doing her part right now with her band Jenn Marino and the Hearts, donating funds to Black Lives Matter London, as well as working with Forest City Fights Back. We're going to be talking to her all about that today. As well as a new single that just came out with her band, and just her VHS collection and some great stuff like that.
Jenn was a great guest. We had a great time chatting with her, and we look forward for you guys to listen and see what we have.
This is a fun episode. Jenn is a total talent, and you're going to learn a lot. She's got a really great story. Thanks so much for listening again, guys. You can find us at all the links, and check all the links we'll have for Jenn as well, and where you can find her stuff. Great. Let's do it. Let's do the episode.
Let's get into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the London's Pretty Cool podcast. We are sitting down with another fantastic guest over Zoom because we're still in these kind of crazy quarantine times. Thank you so much for joining us. Jenn Marino, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good. Thanks so much for asking.
Actually.
Good.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world right now, but it's so great to get a chance to talk to you. We used to live next to each other. Jenn Marino is the singer of Hiroshima Hearts, also a steady active actor in the theater, as well as just an incredible VHS enthusiast as well that you should look out for. Some of the great picks. We're gonna get into all that today. Now, Jenn, how have you been handling this whole quarantine period these days?
I'm in a groove now, which is better than at the beginning. I have fibromyalgia, so I was pretty cautious right from the beginning. I think March 13th was my last day at work in an office. And then the 14th, I stocked up on a ton of groceries and stuff. And I've not really been to a grocery store since, and I kind of like it. So I'm working from home now, and I really wasn't feeling creative until recently. At the very beginning, I felt really creative, and then it kind of really died down. And I did start watching a lot more TV and movies and listening to a lot more music, but I wasn't creating it. And now that I'm into the groove of working from home, I think can feel it coming back. I can feel the creativity coming back on, maybe doing some songwriting and stuff. So yeah. It's been okay. I hope you guys are okay. It's been, it feels like it's honestly been forever since being in public with people.
I know. I was just saying today to my partner that it's going to be weird going out with people again. I don't know if I'm going to be able to socially speak to people. It's going to be different for sure.
For sure. Yeah. I did a fire the other day, and it was nervous. I don't know. I don't know about you, Pat, but I was pretty anxiety ridden the first couple minutes of being around anyone.
Absolutely. I still haven't hugged my parents yet. I'm so terrified. I work at a grocery store, so I'm pretty easy access to catching the COVID. So we visited, and we've definitely been around my parents, but I still am kind of I can't hug you yet. I just don't know if I can risk that. I don't want to kill my parents.
No,
but
I know.
But with the opening up going on right now to 10 people rather than 6, we can have campfires again. You know, I've been able to hang out with a couple people, and it has felt really, really good. I don't know if you've had a chance to. Have you had a chance yet to hang out with like a group of a more than Lori who you're living with?
Yeah, I think it was last weekend. I just went over to a fire actually to pick up VHS more than anything. My friend had some VHS for me, and I wanted to say hi to everyone, but it was a lot. Like it took a little bit to ease into. And I've been swimming at my dad's. I'm very lucky. My dad has a pool, so I'm the same. I've gone over, I've hung out there, but I've really not like hugged or touched or been like, other than just a quick, like running into the washroom and running back out to the pool. But yeah, it's a weird feeling, and it feels like a little bit off, and then sometimes feels like you can get into the swing of it afterward, after like a few minutes. But yeah, I felt a little nervous going and doing stuff still.
Absolutely. It's nerve-wracking right now. But you know, with doing you said you are doing stuff though. Like we wanted to talk about your band Hiroshima Hearts has a brand new single out right now, Smoke. It's fantastic, real rockin', real punchy. Your vocals are killer as always. What
Tell us
what
a
made
little
you
bit about
decide
it.
to? Yeah, tell us about it. What made you decide to release it right now?
Well, we we kind of there's a lot of new things happening with the band right now. This is our first single that our newest drummer, Mark Swan, wrote. He came to us with the song, and that was maybe closer to the winter. And we started doing work like Mike and I started working on lyrics, and Tyler and Mark started doing some like just playing around with the arrangement and stuff. And we ended up recording the single in January. So we recorded January at Beach Road Records at the studio that Siegfried Meyer has, and that was amazing. But then we were like, okay, when do we release this? What are we gonna do? And then COVID happened, and we started talking as a band, going, I don't even know what to do now. Like, how do we release this? Because we do want to do like we do want to do Earshot, and we want to have a physical copy of it. And it's one of those things where like, okay, well, if we release it in June, then we have 6 months to get it to the radio stations, like a physical copy for a program that CHRW does called Earshot, which is amazing, and every band should look into it. What you do is you drop off 50 CDs, 50 bios, and they send it out to all these different indie radio stations on the Earshot network. So we've done that before, and we've had great success, and really, like, we love college and university and indie radio stations. They've been so good to us. So we actually thought, we're like, June. Well, we'll release it in June, because then we have till October to get physical copies of CDs done. And no matter how long the COVID kind of delays things, we still have 6 months. So let's do June. And we chose that in March. So it was kind of a stressful time. When you do stuff like CD Baby is who we used, and you plan out when your single is going to be released. And we chose June 2nd. And then some things happened in the world. And Hiroshima Hearts started out as a political indie band. And we just couldn't not do something about what's happening right now. So we had a quick band meeting, and we're like, okay, we're not releasing it on the 2nd. Like, let's give it a day or two. With our streaming service, it went out online anyways. We just didn't promote it till later in the week. And then we also released the fact that we're giving away on Bandcamp, if you purchase anything, any Hearts, our full discography or the single Smoke, then we were going to give the funds to Black Lives Matter London chapter. And we were like, okay, like, this is something we can do. It still feels super weird to be promoting any kind of music right now, though. Yeah, so that's what we're doing on Bandcamp. And Smoke is kind of not political, but like girls, women to the front kind of song. So I don't know, we've really been focusing on that a lot as well. Which brings me to my point of something new and exciting with the band is we're changing our name.
And changing the name, really?
Yeah, yes. We're changing it to Jenn Marino and the Hearts.
Very nice.
Oh, I
Very
love that.
nice.
I love that so much.
I was very nervous about that. This hasn't been the first time we've ever talked about changing the name. It's been something we've talked about for a long time. The song, the name Hiroshima Hearts is from a song that the band played long before I joined. The band's been around for a long time, and they wrote this political song about just like anti-war, anti-nuclear, like just a political song. And they called it Hiroshima Hearts. And there was a line in it pretty much stating like the ghosts of Hiroshima came knocking on our door nevermore kind of thing, like a little bit of poetry, but a little bit of political. And then one day they needed to play a show and they had no name. So that's just the name they chose. It's always kind of been a name, but also like a placeholder. So, yeah, we just decided that we're doing so much trying to be a band that's promoting women to the front and women in rock and roll. And that is why we decided to change the name as well. And yeah, there's like, well, we're releasing a whole thing explaining it a little bit better than what I just did, but
no, you did a great job.
Oh, thank you. It's like, also too, it was always like we did have a member who had Japanese heritage, and that was really important for them, as far as I was aware of. So we have thought about changing it a bunch of times, but we just never figured out what it was going to be. And then the guys kind of, like Mike said, well, why don't we use your name? We're trying to promote so much women to the front, like women in music, women in rock and roll, like that promotes it really, really well. So that's kind of what we're doing. And now we're kind of like, okay, well, right as we're releasing a single, we're going to change our name, but it's the right time to do it. So that's just kind of how we chose.
Yeah.
I hope that people like it, and I hope that it gets women like interested to come see shows and play shows, because that's really important to everyone in the band. The guys are so good with that as well.
I agree. I think that's a super great idea. I've been waiting for the day when we got to shout out Jenn Marino's name. You know, like rather than just being like, I know her name, you know, because I'm friends with the singer and I know it and I'm gonna shout it out. Yeah, and I'm gonna shout it out. It'll be everybody shouting it out, which is gonna be really awesome.
It's exciting. It was you're always a little nervous because there's a million bands with like Joan Jett and the Heartbreakers or Florence and the Machine, and those bands are bands. Like they are connected and they've been the same members for a long time, and I feel confident. Like the guys are so they think about it even before I do sometimes. They're like, are there women on the bill? Are there women working in the bar, like working in sound and lighting? And they bring these things up. So I feel really confident with them. Like no one's like upset with using my name, and we call ourselves the Hearts anyway. So yeah, I think it's going to work really well. And I hope that I've used my name before I was with them. So I hope that it just keeps pushing it further.
I love it.
Oh,
Aaron, what do you
I think
think?
that's a great idea. And I like that you were saying the rest of the band is very much pushing the females in music and making that really important when you play shows. It's just a very good thing to hear, just for everybody to know that. Yeah.
I like I said, I can't wait. I can't wait for this. So does that mean when you release the physical version of this single that it will have the new name on
Mhm.
that? Okay, perfect. Cool.
We're transitioning everything over. Some things are way easier to transition over than others. Um, and but nothing we put forward anymore is going to have that. Literally today is the last day that name is ever going to be used. So from now on out, it's Jenn Marino in the Hearts, or you can call it Jen in the Hearts, whatever you like. But we know what it is.
Jenn Marino and the Hearts.
Yeah.
Shout it out loud. Heck yeah, I love it.
Oh, I'm glad.
Now, this new single, you said it was created, it was brought together by Mark Swan, who's a new member of the band as well. You were saying within the last year, right? He's a fantastic drummer around this city, isn't he?
He's unbelievable. Like, he does literally everything. This song he made a demo for in his home studio, and he's just like, oh yeah, here's this song, and he actually called it punk rock cowbell. Listen, there's a lot of cowbell in it. And we heard it immediately and we're like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And it came after, like, we were saying we want old school rock and roll sounds, but we want to be new rock and roll as well, right? But keeping that, like, keeping the grit and keeping it dirty rock and roll and like energetic, and something that can show our live show as well as recorded, because that always kind of sometimes can get lost. Like our live show is really energetic and really like usually pretty upbeat. So Mark went home and after that, and he came up with that idea and brought it to us, and then we all started working on it from there. But Mark can play anything. It's absolutely insane.
That's so cool to have that as an asset, right? Like as a songwriter, just throw anything at him and ready there for you kind of thing.
Yeah. I used to play music. Like when I started playing when I was 9, and then I had a few different bands, but I stopped playing music for a few years when I was about 21 because I was just tired. I was tired of booking the shows and like promoting and bringing the people, and I needed a break. And when I got the message from Mike to come and try out for the Hearts, I was talking to him and he started saying, oh yeah, we all write, we all contribute. And before it was just me and my bass player. So I was like, oh my gosh, if I have writer's block, like I don't have to worry because I'm with 4 other people, 5 at that time. 4, including Kimmy and John, Mike and Tyler. Now it's just the 3 other guys and me, but it's something that's been really important in the band is everyone writing and creating stuff that we think everyone's going to play well. So yeah, it's very nice to have co-creators with you and not feel like you're the only one creating the songs.
I think that's very cool. The co-creation of songs, yeah. Honestly, when you say that, Jen, that's very interesting. When you write a song yourself, it can only go so far until you bring it to the rest of your band. You know, it really is so true. There's so many times where you can get so cocky and confident and be like, I just wrote the best thing. Like I should do this all myself and do this or that, you know. But until you bring it to a group of people that like you can trust and are in their talent and everything, it just takes everything to another level. So it's really cool to hear that that's happening just constantly with you guys.
Yeah, it's nice to have everyone's input, right? And the guys will write lyrics and I'll write lyrics, and Tyler, my guitar player, and I can talk to each other and be like, oh, I'll like sing guitar parts sometimes. I'll be like, oh no, I'm like Jack Black. I'm like, listen, I'm not going to play it for you because I'm not that great, but I can sing you what's happening in my head. And we can work together, and we all have that, like we all gel really well. And with the addition of Mark, it's been like it was scary. We lose a member. We lost 2 members. Kimmy, who was our backup singer, and John, who was our drummer. And John did a lot of writing. So when John left, we were like, okay, well, we need to find a drummer who wants to be a part of this band and who wants to write and who wants to like really be a heart, like be one of the hearts. And when Mark came along, it was so perfect. We're so lucky. It's like anyone that knows that have lost members of bands, it's hard, and sometimes it can throw you off track. So
yeah, you listen to that new single "Smoke." It reminds me of the Blues Brothers. Yeah, it like just like a dance, you know, like let's move kind of thing. It's really great.
we described it once as being like, it's a driving song. It's for sure like get in your car and turn it up and go to like drive out into the country or to the beach or somewhere and like turn it up. And that's kind of, it's in the lyrics as well, but the drive of the cowbell and Mark on the drums, it really pushes it into that feeling.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I was actually just a little distracted because I was looking at the VHSs in the back, and I was very curious now about this VHS collection and what you guys are talking about. So what brought you to start collecting VHSs, or did you just never get rid of them from when you were younger?
I have a bunch that I've never gotten rid of, but I have moved a few times in my life. One time when I moved to Alberta for a brief period, I really did lose a lot of my VHS. And I like movies, like Patrick said, I do a little bit of acting. So I've always been into like movies and TV, and like, I don't know, I really like the VHS form. It's just nostalgia for one, but then two, my friends Yasmina and Morgan and I would watch movies all the time, and they're way more into horror. They actually started a horror podcast called Witchfinger Horror Podcast. Oh, say that like 8 times fast. Witchfinger Horror Podcast. And I love being with them. Like I'll go to shows with them, and we'll go to cons and stuff, but they're really into the horror, and I'm really getting into like 80s fantasy and barbarian and kung fu and action. That's kind of where like I sit. So we usually go to this thing called VHS Fest every year in Pennsylvania, and we can't go this year, which like I was so upset about. I wish that we could just go, and our friends from Instagram, all of our VHS community, which is the Instagram VHS community is massive. It's insane, and it's a big family, and everyone knows everyone. We have a friend who comes from Texas. We have friends like from Pennsylvania, Philly, New York, New Jersey, and even further, like everyone's all over the place. But the last 2 summers we've gone to VHS Fest, and I've come back over the border with like, each of us has spent like $200 to $300 each on VHS. What do you have to claim? I'm like, just a bunch of VHS. The Border Patrol's always just like, yeah, whatever, get going. They don't care about VHS.
That's hilarious.
It has to be something.
What's on the tapes? What's on the tapes? Well, I don't know. You like you could go. We can go watch them. You know, I've been waiting for an excuse to stop and watch all these. So thank you. Let's do this.
We did the first year. We put like all the tapes on one of the motel beds, and we were just like lying in them. We're like, oh, VHS. But I don't know. I think it's one, the thing that with VHS is there was a lot of indie movies or like self-made movies in the 70s and 80s, which never translated to DVD. And now they are translating to Blu-ray because there's different companies like Vinegar Syndrome or like Arrow, and they're taking these old movies and they're restoring them and putting them on Blu-ray, but until Blu-ray there really wasn't, like, you can't find I was gonna say Low Blow, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, but like
I've never heard of that movie.
oh
Right there, I love it.
Movie.
This man is not in the movie. This giant arm is not in the movie.
Not in the movie.
Not in the movie.
So
like that was also too, it was covers, right? Like same with album covers, VHS covers are super cool, and I really like it. I like indie movies. Like I'm sure, I don't know, maybe I have talked about it, Patrick, with you, but like Miami Connection is the best movie ever created, and it was just like Leo Fong, who did Low Blow. There's like YK Kim did Miami Connection. Like these men just like came to America, had a dream to like make a movie, or someone was like, hey, you should make a movie, and they're like, sure, it sounds like that's very easy, let's just do it. But they were great kung fu artists and like taekwondo artists, so the fighting looks great. Just some of the other stuff is really weird, but it's fun to watch with friends and have drinks and eat cheese and watch bad movies. That's kind of that's my hobby.
With the VHS, that kind of like comes into play with your involvement with Shock Stock. Could you tell us about that a little bit? Like what, like I think you have a bit of involvement there, right?
I am attendee hardcore of Shock Stock. I'm very Shock Stock is a family, and the Witchfinger Girls, I'm kind of in with them, but like really we started going long before that podcast happened. Shock Stock is a London, Ontario local culty B-movie horror convention. There is nothing like it in the world. It's like it's the biggest party. It's like it's a party. So last year, anyone that likes VHS and likes movies, like I'm sure they know The Lost Boys, the movie The Lost Boys. You know the saxophone player. Now cut this because I don't remember Tim. Why can't I remember his last name? The Lost Boys. He's the sexy saxophone player in The Lost Boys. He plays like in tight jeans, and he has chains, and he's shirtless, and he's all greased up, and he plays saxophone, and he sings. He used to play with Tina Turner.
Lost Boys saxophone. It was Tim Capello. That's right, Tim Capello.
And
oh, cool.
He was there. So like Tim Capello was there. And he played I Still Believe, which is the song from Lost Boys. And he played his saxophone at me. It was like...
Oh, I've seen that video. I've seen like a GIF of that. That's so funny.
There's a GIF of it.
Yeah.
Of me just being like, oh. But like things like that happen because... So it's held at the Ramada Inn in London, Ontario. And everyone stays there. So... in past years, the whole hotel is just people attending Shock Stock. So it's the guests, it's the people running it, it's people even in city or get rooms sometimes. People from coming out of town. Our friends came from New Jersey last year, and everyone just parties and dances. And there's celebrity guests there, so like you could just walk and run into Tim Capello walking down the hallway, and you're just like insane, like freaking out, but also walking around with drinks and having a good time. It's a party. Like any Shock Stock event is a party. And they're really good, really great guys. Jake and James and Andrew and they and Nathan, they all work so hard. I don't know what's gonna happen this year yet because of COVID, but the fans, like we're a family, so no matter what happens, we're gonna make sure that we can support them in any way that we can throughout this weird time. But I can't wait till we can all be in one room and partying again. It's like things that like you would never expect to happen happen. Like every other year, if you watch Sleepaway Camp, Angela, she's always there. Every other year she comes because Fliss loves it. She loves it, and it's just a great. Every other year, she's usually there. So
Oh,
not that
wow.
she wasn't coming this year, but who knows what'll happen next year.
I
Yeah.
can't wait. I can't wait to tell Jill that. We'll probably be
I know
getting.
Jill will love it.
Yeah, she will love that. We've watched Sleepaway Camp. That is a wild movie.
It's so good. So good. Everyone go watch Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, we can't really ruin it for you. Just go watch it if you don't know what we're talking about. Go see it.
Don't look it up either. Just
don't. Yeah. Don't look up anything. You just have to watch the movie. Like, can't watch the trailer, anything like that. Yeah, just watch Sleepaway Camp.
So I am born and raised, with the exception of a few months living in Alberta. But my dad still lives in the house that I came home to from the hospital. And we were laughing. It was just my birthday a couple weeks ago, and they put the water in. Oh, thank you. I'm over 30 now. It doesn't matter. It's all good. But we did. They put the water in the pool the day I was born. So we were joking. We're like, I don't care. I'm 33. So everyone's like, oh, this pool is 33 years old today. Like, happy birthday, pool. But, yeah, it was. I lived in that house my whole life. And there was a brief period where I was in Alberta. I was there for a few months. I was supposed to be going there in a couple weeks to go visit my friends in Calgary, but I am not going to do that now. I was going to go to a metal festival, actually, and now that's happening. So, but yeah, I've lived in London. I've been in theater here. I've been singing here since I was little. I started, my first gig was at Gathering on the Green in Wortley Village.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I was 9, and I said I wanted to sing. I was just like, I saw it the one year, and I was like, oh, my dad used to own a garage in Wortley, so we were always there every year. And I saw the stage. I was like, oh, that's for me. I'm going up there, right? Like, I'm going to go up and sing. So then my mom's like, okay, well, like, we'll ask them. And so I got up and sang like 5 songs to karaoke track when I was 9 years old. And my mom was up there like not wanting to be seen and like hitting play on the tape and with a microphone to a tape player. And I was singing to karaoke. I think I sang like a song from Little Mermaid, and I don't know what else, but like, yeah, that was my first gig in town.
When did you kind of start getting into the London music scene?
I started singing when I was 9. When I started doing like little festivals, and like Iron Horse Festival in St. Thomas, or like Gathering on the Green every year, some like little summer festivals, and I'd sing at those. Then I recorded my first 2-song EP. I guess like I didn't call it an EP back then, but that's what it was. When I was 13, and that was with a producer in Toronto his name was Harry Hind. He was one of the first to find Shania Twain at Elmhurst.
Wow. So cool.
This is things you don't know, Patrick, so this is exciting.
This is crazy.
So you don't know, but I had a very big country career when I was a little girl. So when I first met Harry, I met him through Nick Panasico, who is a local guy. He's still around, like rocking the London scene. Nick brought Kiss to London, Rush, like all these different bands. He's the Stones he was trying to get. That was like a thing he was trying to do again. A year ago, but Nick introduced me to Harry Hind, and Harry and I pretty much sat down, and he said, what do you want to sing? What kind of music do you want to sing? And me being like 11 or 12, I was like, I want to sing rock and roll. And he's like, okay, you can't do that, because at the time, like I said, I'm 33, so back then, I didn't have, I wasn't writing my own songs. So they would
okay.
just give me CDs of a bunch of different songs by a bunch of different artists and be like, do you like any of these songs? Like, and then you would kind of like, everyone was shopping their songs. But when I was little, I couldn't do rock and roll. The youngest person singing rock and roll was Alanis Morissette, and she was in her 20s. So what she was singing about in Jagged Little Pill was not appropriate for me to sing about when I was like 12. So Harry pretty much was like, okay, hopefully someday you can do that. There are a couple artists that are being workshopped and they'll come out, but not for a few years. He was talking about Avril Lavigne, but I didn't realize it at the time.
Oh my
Whoa.
gosh.
Yeah, she was songwriting, and like when I was younger, she was songwriting and getting stuff prepared to go and be an artist. But Harry was like, so you can do pop or you can do country, because those have age appropriate songs that you can record. And I was like, pop, ugh. So I was like, if I sing country, I can do kind of rock country, and then I can transition easier. I was a weird marketing weirdo when I was a very young girl. I really loved marketing. I thought it was like what bands did, like I thought was crazy cool, and I was like, oh, that's how they got people to buy their album. And so I was like, yeah, well, I can do country, then I can do rock, and then I'll be happy. So I sang in the country music scene around southwestern Ontario from like 12 to about 18, I want to say, and then I started transitioning my band to a rock band. And then I played, my band Marino was just like a few of us up till I was 21. And then when I was 21, I took a break. So I was singing every summer and like then more once I had a band. From 9 till 21. I didn't have a job in high school. I sang. I would play, because I was doing country. So in country bars, you would play Friday and Saturday night. You would play 3 sets, and usually 45 minutes each set, but we would do an hour, because by 45, you're kind of just getting into the groove of the set. So we would do 3 one-hour sets Friday and Saturday night, and that's how I made money. So that was my job all through high school. And then I got real sick of it. And then I was like, I'm done with this. I'm not singing anymore. And then when I came back from Alberta, I was going to see shows. I was going to see my friends, and I could feel like I wanted to start playing again. But I think it still took like about a year to a year and a half before I found the Hearts and started singing with them. So I've been in the scene for a very long time. It's almost my whole life, like almost my entire life.
I'm so happy. Like, I love this so much. I had no idea. Jen and I used to live together. Or sorry, live next to each other, and pretty much, you know, and I've always seen Jen play with Hiroshima Hearts, and I've always known that she was like probably the best singer in this city, if not the country, just with like these like just knock you in the face vocals. But I had no idea. Like, I saw one photo, I think you might have posted or somebody shared it to me, like maybe Lori, of you in like kind of a country outfit, like on stage singing or something. You might have even shown it to me, I'm not sure, but I was, yeah, but I remember that. I don't know how I didn't clue in that like, oh yeah, she used to sing country, cool, you know, like, but
career.
you, like, no, you used to do it as like, yeah, that's incredible, Jen. Oh my God, it's so cool.
It was really fun. I had a few different singles. Like, so I did my first single. There's a few people in town who have the first CD, and it's like 2 songs. One song was called Why Me, and the other one was called Tender Rebel.
Oh yeah.
And that was really hard. Like, the lyrics were like, I want a tender rebel, half saint and half devil. But being like 12, that was really weird to sing, like, get the words out of my mouth. But the cover of that album is me, and like I was so tiny, and I have like dirty brown hair, and an orange shirt on and I'm like leaning over a fence. And then if you open up the jewel case, there's like me and a horse.
Amazing. Amazing. Is this on streaming services somewhere? Can we find it?
That one might not be. So one of my best friends, Morgan Lander from Kitty, when we first met,
so cool.
She messaged me and was like, I found your Angel Fire site. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like, my Angel Fire site from like way back in the day. She goes, oh yeah, it's still up on the internet. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So if you dig deep, you can find some Jenn Marino country stuff on there. There was another single, ooh, you'll like this. I did another single, again, when I was a teenager, you weren't really writing your own songs yet, so you would just take songs from other people. And there was a songwriter, Peter Linsman, in Toronto, and he was like, come record these 2 songs, because I wrote them, like, I'll track them, I'll do everything, like, I'll promote them, and it'll be your voice, so that helps you out as well. And we're like, yeah, absolutely. One of the songs, because he was friends with them, one of the songs somewhere on the internet is me and Jeff Healey together. I'm singing and Jeff played guitar on the track. And I got to meet him once, but like, I love Jeff Healey. So I was like, it was amazing. But that's out there in the world as well, somewhere.
For those who don't know Jeff Healey, can you give us a quick bio? Jeff
Healey, if you don't know who Jeff Healey is, then you should go watch Roadhouse right now. Because like Swayze and Jeff Healey was a Canadian blues guitar player, and he was blind. So he played the guitar on his lap. So if you watch some videos of him, he's just like, he was so amazing. He had a great voice. He played guitar like unreal. And then he was in Roadhouse, like this movie from the 80s that's just like, he's playing in a bar, which is like very much like a southwestern Ontario type bar, where it's like there's like the country folk and the city folk, and people are fighting, and it's really about, the movie is about like security guards, cool. But Jeff Healey's the band that's on stage the whole time. So
I wanted to ask you one more thing, because you have had a chance to open for some pretty cool bands, Nazareth, Headstone, Finger 11, Biff Naked. Can you tell us, like, what was the coolest, like a cool story, or maybe one of the best experiences you've had there?
Well, the best for sure, like, we got to play with Biff Naked, and that was a pretty big one for me from when I was young. My cousin Danny, he took me to go see Biff Naked when I was maybe in grade like 7 or 8 at the Drink. And was it? Yeah, or I think it was the Drink. But it was so cool to be able to play with her. And then afterwards, we were talking to her for like, I don't know, we all like fan girl and boyed out, and like we're talking to her, but she's the sweetest human. And like every time that we tag her, like something comes up and we mention Biff Naked, like she always responds, and she's always so sweet. So I'd have to say that, but also, I mean, when we played at New Year's Eve with Finger 11, that was insane. Because one, we were playing outside at Vic Park, and 2, there was like thousands of people there, and it was just, it went by so quickly. But yeah, that experience was really cool, because you go to Vic Park, like especially when you're a teenager, to go see the bands, and to be on the stage was pretty insane. It was really exciting and cold.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the weather, actually, about the temperature. That's so interesting. There's been so many hilarious New Year's performances there. So, I don't know, that's just so cool. Finger 11, they come on the radio at my work all the time. They were probably, this was how many years ago was this now that you did this with them?
3 or 4.
Sweet.
I can't remember.
Were they trying to be cool rock stars with you, or did you get to talk to them at all or anything?
We crossed paths and we knew that they watched our set because we were watching them. Like we'd look up and they'd be inside the area, like tuning their guitars because they were coming on next. But like when we were walking past, and I remember the guitar player being like, "That was amazing," and we're like, "Oh, thank you. I'm
That's
glad you like
awesome.
it." Yeah, there's so many heaters on stage, so it doesn't, like, I almost took my jacket off, and I think Tyler played in a sweatshirt, but the minute you stopped walking or you weren't in front of, they have like a ton of different like giant big vents blowing air, like hot air at you. But the moment you go out of that, then it's like you realize how cold it is, and then you realize that you're sweating because there's lights and there's cameras and there's like, oh, but as long as you stayed in the heat or you kept moving, it was fine.
Just if you have anything else you'd kind of like to plug or let people know that's coming up for you or for the band, and you want to kind of plug right now before we get into London.
Yeah, so check out our new single, Smoke. The YouTube video is awesome. Talking about VHS, it's all public domain clips that I chose a few. I might have chose a movie that's public domain called Manos, Hands of Fate, and that's in there. That's a messed up movie. But Mike, our bass player, he's really handy with music videos, and he created that. So we have the music video, we have the single. Our name has changed to Jenn Marino and the Hearts. Also, I was part of a single that was released called it's for Forest City Fights Back.
Right. Yes, I wanted to ask about this. Yes.
Yeah. Forest City Fights Back, they're raising funds for, I might get the names wrong because there's just like everything happening this week, but there's two local charities. One is at the London Health Science Center. It's the London Health Science Foundation. Normally that fund is given to people who are dealing with cancer or serious illnesses or diseases at the hospital. I've actually done fundraising for the Breast Cancer Patient Assistant Fund. That's through London Health Science Center. It's the same thing. If you're going through treatment, they'll be like, okay, what do you need? Do you need drugs? Do you need hotel? Do you need childcare for your kids while you're here doing chemo or radiation? Do you need a wig? Do you need, and whatever it is, like they'll pay for it. And so when I got asked, they said that was one of the funds. And I was like, well, I'm going to, my mom did pass from cancer 8 years ago. So I know we didn't need that fund, but we were aware of it. So I always, anytime I can try and help, I just know how much bills add up when you're sick. And I think they are using some of that fund right now for COVID patients as well. And then the other fund that we're raising money for is the London Community Foundation. And that actually is a big fund. And then they allocate the funds to different local charities. So like Lifespan or like there's housing projects that they're working on. And then there's also COVID related funds that they're donating into. So this music video is on Forest City Fights Back and .com. And you can donate there. You can buy a t-shirt or you can just donate, and that's helping those two local causes as well. So
very cool. Very nice.
Yeah.
The music video is pretty fantastic. Yeah, you get to do some pretty cool harmonies as well.
Yeah, it was a surprise. Like it was really well run. I went to EMAC. I sang the song 3 times. I did a quick interview and I was out in like 20-25 minutes. We recorded this like a while ago, and then Nick at EMAC, he put everything together. So I had no idea. I didn't know what part they were choosing. I didn't know who else was, like I knew some of the other artists, and especially as they were releasing it. And I knew that my friends and Kitty were in it. And then when I go watch the video on Monday, the same time as everyone else, and see it's like my part and then Morgan's part, and then they put our parts together, I was like, oh, I miss my friend. It was really nice that we were put together. And then my friend Tara has like an amazing solo in it. So yeah, that was really nice. They were really the ones that kind of got me into their ear for Forest City Fights Back. And yeah, Morgan's done a lot for me. Morgan got me into the Hearts as well. So I owe Morgan all of my thanks.
Yeah, Morgan, expect a check. It'll be in the form of a VHS tape of your choosing, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, her taste is very, very high. For my payment, I say go listen to Witch Finger Horror Podcast. My best friends with Yaz, Morgan, and Megan. So
love that. I love that. Okay, cool. Yes, we're definitely go check that out. Try and say it fast too, 8 times fast.
All right. So should we get into some London questions?
Yes, I agree. Aaron, you go right ahead.
All right. What would you say is your favorite neighborhood here in London, as London is the city of neighborhoods?
It really is. Wortley was really important to me growing up. I would walk the streets of Wortley because my dad's garage was there. So and my mom was the bookkeeper for that garage. So I would go in with her, and then I would go to the library, which was right beside it, or I'd go to Curiosities, which was like a little shop. But as I got older, the East End is my home. I love it. I love the East End so much. I love the Western Fair Market. I love So Inviting. I love all of the places. I loved Odyssey Records, and now Odyssey's staying in the East End. So I love the East. The East End is my home. I love it.
What about your favorite place to eat, or just like your favorite restaurant? Something like that.
Oh, I love food a lot. My favorite place to eat. That's so tough. I've been finding so many new places. My favorite donut, V Food Spot. That's I love Boxcar as well, but V Food Spot, I miss those donuts so bad because Andy is amazing and growing his beautiful family, but I miss his donuts. I would say So Inviting is delicious. And Milosh's, I love a beer and duck fat popcorn.
Yeah, there's something to that.
3 very good choices.
Something to that duck fat popcorn. It's a different taste, but it's like you can't stop eating it.
It's true. And then also beer, right? Like I want some Jelly King and some duck fat popcorn.
Perfect mix.
Yeah.
What would you say is a hidden gem in the city that people might not know about but should?
It's hard to say, for VHS, Odyssey Records, everyone looks at it as a record store and tapes and stuff, but their VHS is amazing. So Odyssey has provided me with some great finds. That's a pretty big gem that people should know about. And they're moving locations, so it's really important that with their move, hopefully we can have some fun things. They also they held shows, so fingers crossed, like that in the new space, some shows might be able to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I love Memory Lane. If it's like a rainy day and you want to waste a good couple hours, walk through, that's such a hard toss up. Bridges Street Antique Mall might be my favorite antique mall. And then I go there like every few weekends, and then Bridges, I go to Bridges every few weekends, and then Memory Lane I go every few months. But those are I like the antique malls because there's some weird stuff in there. Books and movies and furniture and just weird things.
It's always cooler to furnish your home in like cool older stuff rather than, you know, IKEA that's gonna fall apart anyways. We know this stuff's gonna last. It's lasted this long.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
What about Jen? Your favorite venue to play and your favorite venue to watch a show?
Oh, well, I mentioned earlier, like we're really focusing on women in music, and we our last show we booked at Rum Runners, and I was just talking to someone today about this. When we booked that show, it was Averages, Cattle, and us. We wanted a woman in each band, and we went to Edie and just said, hey, this is the day we want, these are the bands we want, is it available? He's like, yeah, absolutely, you can do it. And then we also said we want some women's security, we want some like women working in the sound and lighting if possible, we want some women on the bar staff, like we want representation, and they can do it, and not many other places can. So Rum Runners and the music hall, the same, like they've been really great to us. They've put us on big shows. Like technically we're supposed to play with Buck Cherry in November. We'll see.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
That would have been a big show. Yeah, I hope that still happens. Yeah.
Well, we've moved it once, so it's booked for November, but they've just been a really good venue for supporting us and what we want to do, and bringing diversity into the scene as well. I think that's really important, and that's something that the band really fights for, so that's why we work a lot with Rum Runners and with the music hall. And then to go see a band at, I'd have to say CTO, because that's where I went when I was a teenager, and then that's where I went now. And some of the most memorable shows that I've been to have been at Collie Office. So I can walk around and look at the monthly calendars and be like, yeah, I was at that, I was at that, I was at that. So that's that place has a lot of like really memorable shows for me that I didn't play, like that I like to go see.
We are going to do a quick game, if that's all right with you.
Okay.
So it's a very quick game. It's called This or That. So we're going to give you two options that are kind of similar in London. Without thinking or explanation, just kind of let us know which one.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is Masonville Mall or White Oaks Mall?
White Oaks.
What about Anderson's or London Brewing Co-op?
Brewing Co-op.
Would you choose Old East or Old South?
Old East.
Covent Garden Market or Western Fair Market?
Western Fair Market.
And finally, Richmond Row or Dundas East?
Dundas East.
Boom.
Dundas. All the time.
Very nice.
Dundas.
Jen, thank you so much for taking the time today. We really, really do appreciate it. You're such a talent and such a great person, and I'm very happy to call you a friend. And just like we are super happy that you could take the time to join us on this podcast. It means a lot to us, so thank you.
Yes, thank you.
A lot to me to like come and talk to you guys. This is so nice, and I listened, so it was very exciting for me to come on, even though I'm friends. Like, I love you guys. You guys are doing some awesome stuff, so thanks for having me.
Well, until next time, Jenn Marino is doing incredible things around the city at all times. Once theater starts up again, you'll probably see her belting out and doing some incredible dancing too in some great theater performances with her mini-me. And and we're going to see her doing incredible things with Hiroshima. Sorry, excuse me, with Jenn Marino and the Hearts, and we're going to just see them continue to skyrocket. I am so excited for everything that you got going on.
Thank you, bud.
Okay.
I'm Jenn Marino from Jenn Marino and the Hearts, and you're listening to London's Pretty Cool Podcast.